Alright, we're at the track. So, I haven't put up a lot of track content, especially on the YouTube page. So I'm going to film today's session, since today is going to be kind of like a halfway point where I'm going to test a couple things. The program that I'm writing out right now is going to be released on my subscription program and at the halfway point. So today is going to be the flying 10 and the 40. That's going to give me a solid number to kind of progress from as I go. When I tested my 40 prior to starting this training phase, I ran a 4.37 and a 4.44. So if I were to average that out, I'm probably at like a 4.42-ish range. Today I'm expecting to probably be around like the high 4.4s, low 4.5s, just because last week was a really heavy week and I'm kind of coming off of that. This is a deload week, so I'm going to hit a couple pieces of intensity throughout the week, but really try to keep it a little bit easier. So that's going to be the focus for today. Flying 10s, 40-yard dash, probably do 1 to 2 reps of each and then call it a day on that. So we'll start off with the warm-up. What I like to do with my warm-up is just kind of move around, get things kind of feeling open and loose, specifically in the hips, in the back, get things moving around. So I'll take you through my warm-up today, and then first thing we'll do is probably a couple easy reps with the sled, try to get the legs firing. We'll do our flying 10s, and then we'll hit the 40-yard dash. So, starting off with the warm-up, I like to use a foam roller, not specifically to roll out anything, but just to kind of give me a little bit of feedback to see if anything feels tight, anything feels sore. So I start at the calves, work my way up to the hips, move around. Last week was a heavy week of lifting, so I'm not specifically using this for like self-myofascial release or anything like that. It's just to kind of see, is there any tight spots? Is anything feeling sore? So I go through this fairly quick. If something feels sore, then as I'm going through like my dynamic range of motion and some of my drills, warming up for the sprints, I just focus on trying to get that as loose as possible. So as you can see, I mean, it's just roll it out, feel if you have any tight spots, feel if any spots are a little bit tender. Not feeling anything right now, so I think we're going to be good to go for today's session, which is surprising because Friday, Saturday last week, really heavy sessions. On Sunday, I was destroyed, so everything's feeling pretty decent right now. Good to go. So that's foam rolling. What'd that take? About 90 seconds? And then the real beginning of the warm-up is just get things loose. Move the hips around, move the back around, or the spine, and then start going through some more dynamic range of motion, start picking up intensity, get the heart rate up, get a little bit of a sweat going, and then start the workout. Alright, so that's kind of like the dynamic mobility. Very brief, takes about 5 to 8 minutes to get everything done. Now we're going to go into some of our sprint drills. I like to start off with what I call the A series. So A walk, A march, A switches, double switches, triple switches, high knees, and then we get into more of our upright sprinting warm-up drills. So the series, for the A series, all we're focused on really doing is bringing that knee up and putting that foot back into the ground. This is going to prep you for kind of like your acceleration mechanics, because as you're going through your acceleration, you're pushing off, bringing that knee up, and you're trying to drive that leg straight back down behind you as you go. So this A series is kind of warming up the hip flexors, getting that same type of motion that you're going to be doing in early acceleration. And then after we finish that A series, we'll do some more upright running to kind of get ready for our max velocity, which will be that flying 10 today, and then we'll get into the workout. Alright, so that's the A series. 1 to 2 sets of each of those movements for about 10 to 15 meters is all you really need. After you finish that set of the high knees, which is the last progression of that, you should feel pretty warm. So if you want to go straight into some acceleration work after that, that's fine. I'm going to do a little bit more of my upright drills to prepare me for the flying 10 that I'm going to do. And then we'll get into a couple easy sets of sled. We'll do the flying 10, and then we'll do the 40-yard dash, and that should be pretty much it. So the upright drills, I'm going to be doing some bounding variations, working on bringing that knee out in front and cycling that leg back down behind me, and then probably do 2 to 3 drills, and then get into some work with the sled, and then start the workout. Alright, so that's pretty much the warm-up. The thing with the warm-up is everyone's warm-up is probably going to be fairly different depending on who their coach is, where they learn their warm-up, what they specifically like to do, what gets them to a feeling of being most prepared to take on whatever session they're about to do. I have probably 3 different types of warm-ups that I do. Like if I'm doing a heavy acceleration focused day with maybe a lot of sleds or just a lot of short sprints, then I'm focused more on, like I'll do that A series and then I'll just go straight into like acceleration bounds, more acceleration specific work. I won't do those upright drills. If I'm doing more of a max velocity day, where let's say I'm going to be doing a lot of longer sprints, fly-ins, anything like that, then I probably won't do the A series, and I'll go straight into my upright work and some of my upright drills. And then I've got days where if I'm just doing like easy runs, tempo work, something that's not going to be really above 70 to 75%, then I'll go through the majority of my dynamic mobility, range of motion, whatever you want to call it, and just basically get straight into doing some tempos,
since those are at such a low intensity, you don't really need to specifically warm up for that kind of stuff. So last thing I'm gonna do here before we get into the session is I'm gonna do a couple tens from a 3-point stance just to kind of get things firing quickly. And then I'm gonna do 2 20-meter sled sprints with maybe 15 kilos on the sled. Then I'm gonna do my flying 10, which I'm gonna do a 30-meter build up into a 10-meter fly. That's my kind of standard max velocity test that I like to do. 30 meters gives you a lot of time to get up to maximum speed, and then you just gotta put the pedal to the metal for that last 10 and really lay down, you know, a solid number if you're measuring that last 10 meters, which is what I do. So a couple accelerations here, a couple things with the sled. We'll get into that max fly. I'm guessing that the fly is gonna be somewhere between 0.99 to 103 on that flying 10. My most recent best ever is 0.98, which puts me at like roughly around 22.5 miles per hour, which for being 38 years old, is pretty damn good. I'm not feeling I'm gonna be at my fastest today, so somewhere around 1 flat, give or take, is kind of what I'm expecting for that 10. So a couple hard 10 accels, 2 reps with the sled, 2 reps on the flying 10 meters, and then we'll do 1 to 2 40s. Alright, we got 15 kilos on the sled. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a second red cone all the way over here. So down to this yellow is going to be 20 meters. We're going to do 1, maybe 2 reps on this, depending on how it feels. Light sled, 15 kilos, isn't going to be super taxing in terms of letting me have the ability to hit a max effort on that fly. 20 meters, rep number 1. I'm only going to do 1. 1 felt good. I think legs are feeling as good as they're going to feel today for these tests. So I'm going to set up my flying 10. I'm going to be using the free lap cones. So this will be set up at the 30 meter mark. This is going to be set up at the 40 meter mark. So I'll have 30 meters to build up as much speed as I can. Hit that last 10 at an all out, and I'll get a time. I'm going to be wearing this chip on my hip. So as soon as my hips pass the first cone, that'll start the timer. And as soon as my hips pass the second cone, that'll end the timer. And I've got the timer on my phone with the app, so I'll be able to see what those times will be. 2 reps maximum on this. Then we'll take about a 5 to 6 minute break, and we'll do 2 reps maximum on the 40-yard dash. Alright, I don't know if you guys noticed the difference in those 2 reps. For the first one, I went probably about 95%. I didn't try to go all out. I wanted to hit a number I knew I could beat on rep number 2. So I hit the 103, which I was actually pretty excited about that, given that I thought that was going to be like my end range of trying to go hard. So second rep, if you go back and watch it, you can see the effort difference on both of those. Second rep, I just let it fucking fly and ended up with a .94. That was not expected. I definitely used that 30 meters more aggressively and just took off and started sprinting harder at the beginning. I have two cones set up, one at 10 meters, one at 20 meters. I wanted to be almost at full speed at 20 meters on that second rep, where the first rep I was trying to hit top speed right at that cone, which is why you'll see a big difference. But I was much more aggressive on rep number 2, which is why you can see, I don't know if you can see that from there, but 103.94. But I definitely felt way more aggressive and loose on rep number 2 than I did on rep number 1. A .94 is pretty shocking, given the fact that I wasn't expecting to be able to hit some top numbers today, let alone hit a PB. So .94 puts me at 10.64 meters per second. And if we take 10.64 meters per second and break that down into miles per hour, then we are at 23.8 miles per hour. Given the free lap system, it's not going to be the absolute most accurate system ever, but it is a very consistent system. I use it, I set it up the exact same way every single time. So even if that number is not exactly .94, it definitely is faster than my previous personal best. So I'm still going to count that, and it's the only system that I have that I can use by myself. I don't have to have somebody out here. I don't have to have really expensive equipment. The free lap system, you can get 2 cones and a sensor. I think it's like $500, $600, something like that, which for a timing system, that's going to give you an accurate reading pretty much every time. And I mean accurate in terms of every single time it measures, it's going to measure on its most accurate system. So every time I do that flying 10, it's measuring that flying 10 the exact same way every single rep. So I'm not using a different timing system or anything like that. So use what you can, be accurate with it. I'm gonna take another 3-4 minutes here, go reset the cones, and then we're gonna run a 40. All right, we're about to run a 40, but before I do, make sure to like and subscribe. All right, we had a recording error, so I guess that first rep is a practice rep. Boom. Register. There we go. A 4.50 on that 40. I'm actually very pleased with that. It may not be what people consider a very fast time, but given the fact that it was my 4th hard rep of the day, and I'm able to hit a 4.5, which is what I thought I would be. I thought I would be high 4.4s, low 4.5s today, based off of how I was feeling. I got a little excited about it when I hit that 94 on the flying 10, but then also kind of realized that going all out on a flying 10 is a very great way to just burn yourself up. So that first 40, honestly, I feel like it was slow. So I don't know why it didn't register. It didn't trigger the timer, I guess. But it definitely was good. Oh, I don't know for sure because it wasn't timed, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it was slower than a 4.50. So maybe mid to high 4.5s on that first one, mainly because that first 10 felt off. I felt like I didn't get as much drive on my first 3 steps as I normally do. So I'm gonna stick with the 4.50 today. Again, I don't know if the camera focused in on that, but that's great for being at a halfway point in terms of the program that I'm writing right now. I really am happy with those numbers. I think I can be mid to low 4.3s in about 8 weeks, which is going to be the next time I'm going to put the timing eyes out and time those. For next time I test, I'm not going to test both in the same day. I don't recommend doing that. I'm just doing it today because this is going to be the only day I'm going to be at the track. Normally what I would do is I would test my flying 10s at the beginning of the week and then test my 40 at the end of the week. So the flying 10 is a great way to kind of prime your system, get things firing really fast. You take a couple days off, go back and hit the 40, and you should be pretty fast as you go and do that 40. But since today is the only day I'm at the track this week, I decided to hit both of them one day, which I normally don't do. So appreciate you guys watching the video. Hopefully you got something out of today's session being at the track. I'm going to try to get some more videos up for you guys more often. I know I say that every time, but I feel like I've been able to put out more videos this month than I have the last few months combined. So I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.